Stacy, I can see you've joined us, but we don't have audio or any visual yet.
It says it's connecting to audio, so maybe she's trying, but can't get it to work.
I can't imagine having a glitch with Zoom meeting.
Hmm?
I said, I can't imagine having a glitch with a Zoom meeting.
Oh, got you. You jinxed it. Now we're going to see what happens. Hopefully today isn't so bad.
It would happen anyway. You don't have to jinx these things. They come pre-jinxed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Let me exit full screen.
Yeah, look like we've got a few bouncing in here. Billy, I see you trying to connect. Steve. While we're waiting for a few other folks to come on board with us, anybody that's already in, if you have a specific problem, if you're having a problem connecting to the level, or if you have anything specific to you that you want to talk about, let's get it out there now, and we can get things kind of rolling before everybody else comes in.
I'm trying to get my screen sharing going.
Right. Looks like you've got it going there now. Good.
So you should be able to see that.
Okay. Stacy, can you hear us and see us okay? How about you, Billy? Want to make sure we've got everything up and running like we should.
I'm working on it.
I know it's a work in progress, and they've changed Zoom lately. We've got a little pop-up thing now where we've got a couple of screens if you've got more than one connected, which makes it a little more confusing than it has been.
Okay, well, I was struggling just to find a device that was charged.
Okay.
So I grabbed a portable battery and just ran to the shed right quick.
Oh, well, that'll work. We're doing rolling down the road or wherever.
Whatever works.
I came in late. I was actually teaching my son to use it this evening on a job. We had kind of a last minute deal. Okay. And then we got home and his brand new smart level was delivered. So
cool. Yay. Good deal. So how's everything working for you, Bill? Is it all making sense?
It is. Well, it's I just feel like we might could get more out of it. The only thing we've used is image mapping, and you use the is it the where you walk along and it's
where your phone's measuring the ground, the AR mapping.
Right. And I don't. Every time I click on that, I'm not seeing anything in my phone. Not seeing the ground, not seeing. It's just a black screen, and I don't know what's going on.
You know, I've had that happen before. You may have to give your app permission to use the camera.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's been a while since I've had that happen, but I think that's probably what you're running into there.
I knew it was something simple.
Yeah, most of the time it is. Not always, but most of the time it is. And
okay.
Yeah,
is it an Android or Apple?
It's Apple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Cool. Hello, Martha.
Hey, how are y'all?
Doing well. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I almost forgot about it. Sorry, I'm a little late.
That's okay. No worries at all. We always allow a little time for people to come on board. It's a busy world out there right now.
Thank goodness for alarms on your phone to remind you of things.
Yes. Yeah. And then I still miss some of them. We were just talking with Billy. He was possibly didn't have the permission turned on for the app to use his phone. So as people come in, we kind of try to feel everybody out and see if they've got anything specific that they need help with. Is there anything in particular that you need help with, Martha?
I just want to start with the base. I mean, I'm just going to probably not ask a whole lot because I realized today I went and measured a job, got my tape measure out, and I didn't even use the app like an idiot. I'm so stupid. I had my smart level out, but I didn't use the app. So
Yeah.
I haven't, in my mind, I haven't connected those two, and I've just got to, I just want to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, Martha. It's a lot of people have the level and don't even know there's an app out there. It's
Yeah.
a little frustrating. Yeah. Yeah. So you have the app downloaded. Now, you
Yes.
know, everybody knows at the bottom of the app, you've got an FAQ button that's got short videos on
Yeah.
every function. And those walk most people through all of the separate functions pretty well. I have a lot of people actually, one of the largest map that anybody's ever done other than me. A gentleman walked himself through the training on the FAQs and didn't have to call me or anything. And then sometimes it's easy to get hung up on some little something. You know, I tell people, hopefully what everybody will do is learn to use the mapping and the advanced features on a Saturday or a Sunday. A lot of times I'm having some of these Zoom meetings on a Saturday, and I'd
Yeah.
much rather you do it in your backyard, you know, when you've got plenty of time. If I'm available, let me know, and I'll be, if I'm not with you, working with you, I'll be available. That way you can figure it out on your own time. The worst thing to do is go to a job site Monday morning and try to figure it out with a concrete truck coming and 15 guys trying to ask you questions.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
your
and I
customer
help
standing there
people do
watching
that.
you. Or your
Yeah.
customer standing there watching you fumble through a piece of equipment that looks pretty impressive, but you don't have a clue what you're doing.
Yes, that doesn't look good. Yeah.
Quick question. Is everyone able to see my second screen with the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. Make
Okay.
sure that was
All right. Steve, I want to just double check with you, Steve. Are you seeing the screen and have a good audio and visual and everything coming through for you?
Yeah, it looks great to me.
Okay. All right, cool. What about you? Is there anything specific that you have that you'd like to get straightened out right off the bat, or are you just here to kind of go through the general stuff?
Yeah, I haven't had any problems, but I am using the level very old school. I'm kind of using it as just a laser replacement.
Okay, yeah. And it does well for that. That's all some of the folks need it for. And that's cool. But at least we can show you what all the other functions are and what it does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just finishing up a building pad right now, and I've been, going around and just marking where it needs to come up or go down. And I realize I should be able to do this with a picture of the pad and
yes,
marking it. So I think I need to become more familiar with the app so I remember to use it.
Okay, you do have the app downloaded, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Stacy, how about you? I mean, some people want to sit in the background and don't want to be heard or seen. That's fine. If you don't mind to talk, Stacy, if you want to come on board with us.
Bring that one around here. So
it looks like we've got Steele in here with us.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Still can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on my wife's iPad. We've called you a couple times. We bought this thing a long time ago, and my son, he's never put forth the effort, and he said it doesn't work. And so before this little meeting, I actually went out there and I was looking at it, and I had air in the line, and I saw how there's a little screw that you bleed out the air.
Yes.
And on mine, I don't have that screw. Maybe I've got an old first generation one of these.
No, you probably got one of the later generations. At one time, we had a different fluid in it, and you would occasionally get a little air bubble in it. You'd have to bleed it out. We changed the fluid since then, and what we've got now. Are you seeing the screen that we have up on the?
Yeah, I got the screen. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
your level will be built something like this. It will have a clamp over the tubing, over a brass barb, and what you'll do is you'll loosen that clamp up and just pull that tubing back off the barb. And I've got a video that will show you how to do that. We'll walk you through that. I don't know if we have this on here or not.
Yeah.
But
in this video, we're going to show you how to replace.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what we'll do is we'll link that over to you. And if you have any questions at all, give me a call. I don't think everybody needs to see this right now, but
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. If you ever need to, if you damage the tubing or you have to replace a display or anything like that, you can bleed the air out of it yourself. You don't have to send it back for any factory recharge or anything like that. Now, depending on how long have you had the levels, Steele?
We bought it at a pool show, several years ago. I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. I'll help you with that. Actually, I'll be on the road driving tomorrow. So whenever it's convenient for you, if you need any help, I'll shoot this video. This video is on our FAQ page isn't it, Jennifer?
Yeah, I actually did this whole process today. All mine had was like a spring clamp on it.
Oh, okay.
And so I squeezed the clamp, I pulled it off. I actually purged the air out, but it still looks like I got a bubble right beside the square that's bungee corded onto the rotating wheel.
The reservoir end of it. There's a little video for bleeding that out also. And still at one time we had we changed manufacturers about a year ago because our manufacturer wasn't following our guidelines. And he put a less expensive plastic piece into the plumbing instead of the brass that was supposed to be used. If you had a spring clamp on yours, you may have that old plastic piece, and however long you've had yours, it'd still be covered under warranty. I'll get with you and let you send a photo in, and I may have you send that in and let me replace that little piece
Okay.
just to make sure we're up and running like we should be.
Okay.
We had a lot of problems with that manufacturer, and once we got away from him, now our new manufacturer is doing a fantastic job. But they did send a few of them out with some plumbing that wasn't up to our specifications, and you may have one of those. It sounds like you might. So we want to make sure. And actually, if we do, you just send it in, won't be any charge. I'll get everything tuned up and like it should be. That way, you know when you get it back, everything's working like it should, and you don't have to question anything.
Okay. Would I have to send the whole level in, or just a certain piece of it?
You know, you won't need to send the carrying case or the monopod in. Just the everything that's yellow, just the unit itself that you'd be using.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you bled the air out, I'll send you a little video on bleeding all the air out both ends and everything. You can do that and get it out and try it and work with it. And if you have a problem in the future, you know, send it in. It you know, if it's 2 or 3 years, if it's that bad plastic piece that the old manufacturer put in, I'll stand behind it a year, 2 or 3 years from now, because it shouldn't have been that way. One of the things we got with the warranty on these levels, you know, if they're abused or something, of course, I've got to charge you if it's out of warranty. But if it's something like this that shouldn't have happened, you know, I've stood behind levels for 2 or 3 years after they've been out of warranty. You know, if it's something that shouldn't have happened, I want you to like my product and keep it going. So I'll fix that and get it tuned up for you. We'll make sure
I got you.
where you should be. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if anybody else doesn't have any specific questions, then, and we are recording this if everybody's okay with that. I think it probably told you when you came on board. I've got some people that couldn't be in tonight that want to see it. So if everybody's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Martha.
I noticed on my monopod today that where I was able to just use the magnet on the back of the box to put it on top of the monopod.
Yes.
Now I have a threaded piece. I'm wondering if I've lost a piece on the monopod.
Know, the monopod has a metal disc that screws onto it. And it screws on and off because you can use that on any standard tripod, any camera tripod or what have you. And if all you have is a thread sticking out of your monopod, you don't have that little round piece, I'll have to get one of those to you. They only cost me, you know, $10 or so. I'll ship one of those out to you. It sounds like that may have
I'm going to look in my car and make sure it hasn't fallen off, because
it's fallen off somewhere. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has. You can screw it on pretty snug, but sometimes I have a few customers that do that. I'm going to start including an extra one in every case. So if you lose one, you got a spare, because they're not very expensive.
I'm going to look in the morning and make sure it's not in my car. My car's black and so is it. So it could have fallen off in there, and I just got to get a flashlight and get in there. If
you can't find it, just shoot me an email or text or call or what have you, and I'll get another one out to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Mike, I just have one follow-up to what Steele was talking about. So obviously I could visually inspect the tubing and see if I have error, but would there be any other indication that I have error?
No, the easiest way is just looking at the tubing. If for some reason you have a level and it's not holding it's varying a little bit or not holding as steady as it should, that could be an indication that you have error in it. But the reason the tubing is clear and has a yellow fluid in it is just to give it a visual check every now and again.
Okay.
And even if you've got a little bit of air trapped in the system, if you got, you know, like the size of a pencil eraser or something like that, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. If you've got a ½ inch or so, it'll make a little difference as it's coming up through the tubing. But after it settles out at the top, it'll be pretty stable on that end of it. And on the FAQ button, there's a couple of videos that show how to bleed the air out of either end. And the new models, the reason we did away, the older models had a little bleed plug where you could bleed them out, because we did use a fluid then that would you would occasionally get a little air bubble in it. That's been several years ago. The new ones don't have that because we just don't have any problems with the air bubbles in the new ones, unless it's, you know, like we say, that that there was a few of them that went out with that old plastic fitting that should never have been put in there, and we'll replace that if you've got that. Get that fixed up.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So, is everybody familiar with turning the level on? When you first turn it on, you know the power switch will change it from metric to inches and fractions, or inches and tenths of an inch, and what have you. We've got the button function FAQ. We'll walk you through all of that. Everybody familiar with turning the level on and how to get it in the right reading range and what have you?
Yes.
Yep.
I have never used it. I bought it quite a while ago, but I've never even turned it on because I have this stupid drone and I've sent it back for repairs like a bazillion times and it still has never worked once. So
that's
am
not
I
good.
able to use the smart level without a drone, or does it have to? The instruction video I watched like showed you using a drone. Does it have to be used with a drone?
No, absolutely not. All of the construction features with the smart level work without the drone. The only thing you really need a drone for is image mapping, and any way that you can get a good overhead visual, you can do that with Google Maps. You can actually, sometimes I'll go in and put I have gone into my driving app on my Apple phone and done a screenshot in satellite mode. So anyway, you get a good overhead, and that's just for one of the advanced mapping features, Stacy. As far as using the level in everyday construction, you don't have to have even that. And you can also, like we say, you can use the AR mapping. And here's where if you're not going to upload it into a design program, you can just take a photograph with your phone. Everybody see the photo that's on the screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, now taking a photo on the ground like this, you won't have all of the distances scaled right, so this won't be good acceptable to upload into a design program. You need a good overhead image for your design program. But if you're just wanting to show a customer what you got, this is where what we're seeing now is an overhead with a drone, and where we drop the readings right into it, and you get all the detail when you do that. If you would, Jennifer, go back to that previous slide. This is where you can just take a photograph on a job site, and anywhere you set the level, you put the little crosshairs where the level is sitting, and just drop that reading in to do the image mapping. Are you kind of seeing what I'm talking about?
You said it won't upload. Am I incorrect? I thought you would be able to get like a table from using the smart level and upload it into SketchUp.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking to do.
Absolutely, Stacy, you can. And in order to do that, you need a good overhead. Go down to the parking lot below that. Click on that one right there. Okay. Right here is where we use the image mapping with a good drone. And Stacy, I recommend DJI drones. The price has come down and they are super easy to fly, and it's a great company.
That is what I have.
Really?
That's what we have. And it has never worked a single time. So we bought it like a little over a year ago, and we've just sent it back continually, and they just send it back again. And I just got it back yesterday and just took it out today. And once again, it still doesn't fly.
Man, well, I'm glad you talked. You're the first person that I've talked to that's had problems with DJI. That's what I use on all of mine. That's what this photo was taken that's on your screen right now. I'm really surprised at that because everybody that I talk to loves the DJI. I had a professional photographer when I started looking at drones, and he bragged about it. And then I actually got two friends that are pro photographers. Both of them said, get an inexpensive DJI and you'll be happy from now on. So hopefully you got, just the one glitch in that, because I love mine. I've had it now for 3, maybe 4 years or so. Not a problem one out of it.
What model do you have, Carrie?
Mine's never flown. The Pro 3.
Oh wow,
the mini
that's a really
one,
nice
sorry,
one
the
too.
Mini Pro 3.
Mini Pro, okay. Yeah.
Just curious.
I have yet time.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but that is unusual from my experience with DJI. Okay, so the image that I showed you before, the image of the pool where we had taken it on the ground, that won't give you that won't create your X, Y, and Z data for uploading to SketchUp or the design programs. What you need, this won't, and the retaining wall here. So
can I take an image from Google Pro Earth then?
Google Pro, Google Earth. Like I say, if you've got an iPhone, a lot of times I'll put my iPhone into satellite mode and do a screenshot. You won't have the clarity, but you will be able to get a decent. Actually, it's worked pretty decent for me a few times. Go back to the railway parking lot there, Jennifer, if you don't mind. Now, this is where I took a drone up. You want to take your drone up high enough that you've got the entire working area. Actually, you want more than what you're going to use. That way, you're a little safe. Anytime I try to get just the immediate area, there's always something slightly outside that I want. and my photo's not big enough. So go a little higher than you need to. And if you had this with Google Earth, that will work. Any way you get a good overhead view will work. Now, this is where it's already been dropped into, actually it was UVision design program and put the topo lines in, but you can see where the 0 point where I started up here. Put your cursor on that 0 point if you don't. Yeah, yeah, right there. That's where I started. Now, I did this in a grid. So at the middle of all of these little traffic islands and the side, what I did, once you get that photograph into your phone's photo library, then you can put the crosshairs in, load it into the app and put the crosshairs anywhere you're standing and drop this in. Actually, this would probably be a good place, Jennifer, if you want to, go ahead and put the image map tutorial in. I'll just let this play.
This is Mike East, the owner of Smart Level, and I'm showing you how to image map today. Now, image map is where we take a photograph of a job site and drop the readings directly into the image. It's gold. It's very easy to show the homeowner what you've got. It's my preference in the two methods of mapping. We have augmented reality where the phone actually measures the ground as we're going, like you're using your phone as a tape measure. That's my second preference. This is always my first. If you don't have a drone, you can do Google Earth, a satellite image. You can put your phone in satellite mode and do a screenshot, but it's not, you don't have near the clarity. The best clarity comes in with a drone, $300 or so for a decent DJI, and you get the entire backyard, everything that's there in real time in your photo. It's fantastic. So what we do, I set the level down on its side. It's a little more accurate if it's set on its side like this, as opposed to upright. I've already walked all of the tubing out to the farthest location. That keeps us from dragging the reel across if we need more tubing. You want your reel is, your reference point is based on wherever you set the level and zero it out, but we don't want to move the reel because that factors into it also. If we move the reel, we have to come back and double check our benchmark or our zero starting point. So basically the short version of this, I connect everything to the monopod. If we zero it on the monopod, the tip of our monopod becomes our zero or reference point.
If you would just pause it there for a second, Jennifer.
Probably not going to be torn up for minutes.
Okay, so does that make sense? If you zero it on the monopod, the tip of your monopod becomes your reference point. Some people don't understand what I'm talking when I say that. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now there's a magnet built into the back of the display, and there's a little metal disc. What Martha was talking about should be screwed onto the top of the monopod, so that display will clamp right onto the top of the monopod and hold itself there. There's a little Velcro down your monopod. I take the tubing down and fasten that Velcro around it. That way you don't have the tubing pulling and trying to pull the display off the top of the monopod. And then what I do is I go to Walmart, or you can get them through Amazon, and I put a little phone magnet on the back of my phone. That way the phone will click right onto the top of, boy, you're good at this, Jennifer. You're on the ball, girl. Thank you. That little phone magnet will hold the phone right onto your smart level. That way you made a one-hand operation out of it. It makes it much easier to walk around like that rather than carrying it. Now, I do have some people in flooring industry that will actually use an iPad around their neck with the collar on it. You could do it like that. If you wanted to map it on an iPad, it would work fine. And it won't be attached to the monopod. I don't really have too many people in the hardscape industry that are doing that. All that makes sense to everybody so far?
Yes.
Yep.
That makes sense to you, Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. If you want to, Jennifer, go ahead and continue from there.
Of the job site. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I've got everything that I need.
No, your iPad's not.
And we're going to choose this.
Your name's on my iPad.
Now, wherever I'm standing in real life.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was that, Stacy?
Crosshairs. I'm standing around the edge here. So we're showing.
My name's Bo. I'm on my iPad, but it's named my wife for some strange reason.
My assistant does that all the time, Bo. Sorry about that. I'll probably still call you Stacy. You know who I'm talking about. That's right. All right. Okay. So what you're seeing here on the screen, you're seeing the app, a screen recording of the app on the left-hand side. Everybody kind of see what I mean there? That's got the T at the middle and the 3D and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that photo originally, any way you get that drone photo or the overhead photo into your phone's photo library, the app has access to all your photos. So when you go into image mapping, it will open your photo library and you just choose which image you want to use. And then wherever you're standing in real life, you'll put the little crosshairs there in that photograph and click the pencil and ruler button at the bottom, and that will drop your readings in. So go ahead and start it back if you want to, Jennifer.
0 point. I drop my 0 reading in. Now the image mapping is much more forgiving. As I say, you can come back a year later, pull this image up, and you can drop your readings right into it. Super
okay,
easy,
see, I'm putting the crosshairs over there.
Crosshairs right over my cones. I put these cones down to mark where I am if I don't have a good reference point. We're a little over, a little shy of 3 inches below where we started here.
Okay, stop it right there, Jennifer.
And basically, as fast as I walk.
Okay, so everybody see how I put the little crosshairs in the middle of the app. You're actually moving the image under the crosshair. And wherever you're standing, you put that crosshair and then you hit the ruler and pencil button at the bottom of the app, and that will drop whatever's showing on the level into that particular location. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
Yes.
Say that again.
Okay, Martha, you see on the left-hand side where we've got the app, where the cursor is,
Right.
you're actually moving the image so that you center that crosshair up right over where you're standing. And I had a little cone on the ground where I was standing. So I centered that crosshair right over the top of the cone. And then once the level settles out for a second or two, you drop that, hit the pencil and ruler and drop that reading right in.
Okay, so hitting the pencil is how it records the measurement you're taking, or
Yes.
the elevation.
Yeah, and watch it
Okay.
here. We'll do it again here. I line it up. And then drop it in. See what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay.
So those little discs that you have on the ground,
Yes.
are you doing that when you have a drone, or are you doing that anytime you do measurements?
Okay, if I've got a lot of reference points on the ground so that I know where I am easily, I wouldn't need to put anything down. But in a backyard like this where you don't have any references,
Right.
I drop some cones down or something before I take my drone image. That's why this is one of the reasons I like to use a drone. Sometimes you'll spray paint the ground. If you want it to stay there, you can spray paint the ground. That way you know exactly where you're getting your readings.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
But you're really doing that when you have a drone, right? If you
Yes.
don't have a drone, you wouldn't do that.
Correct.
Okay.
You just kind of guesstimate it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now the other way that we map the augmented reality, you don't have to put cones down because your phone's actually measuring the ground as you go. And I'll go back and show you that after we finish this. I'll show you a little bit of the AR mapping. Image mapping is what I prefer because it's very easy to do and it's very forgiving. The augmented reality is a little more complicated because you can't stop the AR and start it again. With the image mapping, I can stop this and go to lunch, or I can come back a week later, pull that up, and drop more readings in. Which now we'll eventually be able to do that with AR, but we can't right now. So is everybody kind of getting an idea of how this image mapping is working?
Yeah, Mike, I got a question.
Yeah, Bo.
Okay, so like I'm going tomorrow to sketch a backyard up for a pool.
Yes.
So is there a way, like I'll go out there and I'll grid off the house, and I'll just go out and I'll put me a mark every 10 feet.
Yeah.
And so then I just start walking away from the house. Then I start taking my shots. Can I actually use the app to know when I'm at 10 feet? Or
you can, if you're using the augmented reality, Bo, you can. And so you're not going to use a drone. You're not going to use the image mapping.
No, I don't have it. I won't have a drone with me tomorrow.
Okay, bear with us for just a little bit, Bo, and I will show you the augmented reality after we get off of this. And I think that's what you'll probably need to use there.
Okay.
But, yeah, so bear with me just a little bit. We'll walk on through this image mapping and get everybody kind of on board with that. And then the next, what we have is, as opposed to image mapping, is the augmented reality, which the phone will actually measure the ground. And yes, the phone will tell you you're 10 foot out or however far you are out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mike, one follow-up on image mapping. So you just mentioned the ability to like do part of the job, go to lunch, come back. So I've been assuming anytime I turn the display off, I've got to re-zero it. And in this case, of my 0 point, is that true? Like if you...
Yeah, that's a good question, Steve. All right, so if you, just pause that for a second there, Jennifer. So if you leave everything setting where it is and go to lunch and the level turns itself off and you come back and start again, the level will save the readings where you started and everything should be exactly where you started when you left. Now, just to be on the safe side, I would double check it because you never know while you're gone. some greater man may have come in and he may have moved something and set it back. I've been on job sites before where when they were surveying, somebody would actually move the grade stake and put it back and just drive it down to where they thought it actually was before. You know, you never know when you're gone from a job site what some nitwit has done.
Right.
So with the smart level, it's very easy. You would just go back to your initial starting point and double check to make sure that it's still showing 0. Now, same thing if you leave the job site and you're gone for a week or so and you decide you need to come back and drop some more readings in, you don't have to put the reel in the same place that you did before, like you do with a laser. You can put the reel anywhere you want to. Just go back with your readout, with your display at the initial benchmark and re-zero it there. Then all
Right.
of your readings will be lined up with the same datum that you started with before. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and run this through some more, Jennifer, and I wouldn't say kind of fast forward it. Everybody kind of sees how we're dropping the readings in there now. If you understand that.
Can Jennifer enlarge this screen? Because it's not taking up my whole screen on my computer. Ah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's
Put
okay.
it in presenter mode. Go back to where you're
Right.
showing the app, Jennifer, so you can see it a little more clearly. And you might actually even, can you enlarge the app a little bit? Can you just,
Um, oh,
yeah, there you go. And just keep it on the app.
Better.
Slide it over a little more. There you go, right there. Okay, we can see that better. Okay, yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Martha. Okay, you can see where I put the crosshair right on top of the retaining wall there. Go ahead and start the video again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 it should be going,
Yeah, it is.
but I don't know if I can,
Now, you leave it like
fast
that. That's
forward
fine.
because
Just
I
like
can't see it.
well, you can see. Yeah, we can see we can see it.
Hold on. The rest is us pretty much
Yeah,
walking around at the top.
yeah, we're just walking and plotting the top of it now. This is where you just
Right.
save the data. And there's the data. So is the image mapping part of this making sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I advise that you do, like I said before, do this on a Saturday or afternoon or a Sunday or something when you got plenty of time. Make sure that you save your readings. And when you save your readings, you can see on the left here, you've got a folder and you can name the folder the house. Say it may be the Smith property. And then if you did a front yard, backyard, east, west, what have you, you can name individual plots in that. And then once you save it, you've got your data there. You can come back and open that plot. If you come back and you decide you need to put more points into it, you just put more points into it. You just open it up, re-zero your equipment on the same benchmark, and you can add more points into it if you want to. We don't have that option with the augmented reality yet. Now we will eventually, but we don't have it there yet. Now, what we do from here, once we've got our plot, is we will email this into our design software, and the app is creating your X, Y, and Z data as we're mapping this. So you'll get a CSV file, and then you'll also get a DXF file. And we are working on a DWG file as well. But those two files will upload into pretty much every design program on the market right now, some of them easier than others. The only program that we have, it takes a little bit longer to upload into is Structure Studios, and that's because they're proprietary. They have a GIS system that they try to force their customers to use, which is not very accurate, which is why they have to force people to use it. And they intentionally block height readings from any other device coming into their system. So we haven't figured a workaround to that yet, but it's still a lot easier to upload the perimeter and all of your points and drop them in manually. It's still a lot easier than doing it all by hand. But we haven't quite got that as smooth as we like it on Structure Studios. Every other design program out there that I know of, which is much easier, and Real-Time Landscape Architect or UVision, they're designed to work with each other, and it's super easy peasy on that end.
And then you
Now,
got to
we are
mention the reference point.
Yeah, and we
Right.
are developing an SOP or a standard operating procedure for uploading Smart Levels data into everyone. Dynascape has been working with us on this. Dynascape's out of Canada, and they've got a step-by-step, the easiest way to upload our data into Dynascape. We've got this with UVision and with Real-Time Landscape Architect. I've got people that are working with in AutoCAD, and Vectorworks is very easy. You can upload it to Vectorworks. and ESI, which is a function of real-time landscape. So with the individual programs that you upload it into, we're kind of coordinating groups of folks into that to talk with each other so we can get the fastest, easiest way for everybody to upload their data and kind of in a standard format. We're trying to standardize all of this and make it super easy. So if you've got a dozen, if you're large enough, you've got multiple crews working for you, all of your crews will do it the same way. And if you don't have an in-house design team, but you want to map this and send it off to a design team anywhere in the world, then mapping it with Smart Level will be in a standard format. So you could send it to Kitzmiller Design in Washington, or Created by Nature in Oregon, or if you had a team in India, there's teams in India that are doing this now. You can actually send your data from Smart Level directly to them, and it comes in an easily understandable format. It's not like you have a survey crew map it out, and every survey crew does it a little different, and everybody's got to go back and forth and figure out where everything goes. That kind of makes sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. And I will, as we get into this further and we have more people joining us, I will have individual sessions on, say you use real-time landscape. We'll have, a 30-minute section blocked down to where you upload this directly into real-time. And Stefan is my Canadian rep. And actually, we've got these videos online now. If you go to our YouTube channel, he will show you how to build a patio. And he did it in, I think it was 5 minutes, wasn't it, Jennifer? It was incredibly fast.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So now that you see how we're mapping here, now you'll see over on the left-hand side of this, you see a house with the green readings. And below that, there's a pool. All of these were done with image mapping. All of these were done where I popped a drone up, took a photograph with a drone, put the drone image into my photo library, and then I simply went into image mapping and chose that photo and dropped my readings in exactly like I did this backyard. Does that make sense to you, Carrie?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to mention putting the reference point at the end, right?
Oh,
or
yes,
doing
yes,
the beginning.
In image mapping, you'll need to scale it. So if you know, if you knew that the back of this patio was exactly 20 feet, you could go in and measure that out and put it in. You'll need one ground reading to scale it. And you can do that by either using the augmented reality of the iPhone, or you can just manually put it in and say it's 20 feet from point A to point B across this. That scales everything so your design program knows the correct distances.
And that's what he's about to do in the video. He's scaling it based off the concrete slab.
Yeah,
if I
thank you,
remember
Jennifer.
correctly.
I always forget that point.
No problem. So he's using the augmented reality to do it, like he said, for this portion.
You just drop a point on one, walk across, and drop a point on the other side, and the level has actually, the AR in the phone has actually measured the distance between those 2 points. And it will tell you, and that's accurate to typically about 1%. And it's raining here. The rain's not going to hurt anything. We got quite wet doing this. It was 142 inches across that back concrete deck. That gives you your ground readings. So you know all of your distance between points. And of course, the level gives you your height. And the app with that information creates your X, Y, and Z data for upload into your design programs. Does that kind of make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, Steve, that makes sense to you?
Yep.
Yeah, and Martha, you okay with that?
Yeah, I don't know about the AR thing. So,
okay, the AR, we're going to get into the AR mapping. That's going to be, we've got an entire function where the AR maps it, and that's where we're going now. So I think this will help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and Carrie, have you got any questions about this before we move to the next one? If not, forever hold your peace.
No, I think you're good to go to the next one. I think I'm going to see if I can find some videos online or something so I can watch them slowly while I try to do it.
Yes, right. And these videos that we're showing you, those are in our FAQ button, Carrie, at the bottom of your homepage on your app. You've got an FAQ button, and that video that we're just watching is right there. And you can also go into the smartlevel.us. Yeah, you can see on the app here where she's got that. Nicely done, Jennifer. You know you're making yourself invaluable where I'll never want to do a Zoom without you again.
Oh, don't say that.
And those FAQs are also, if you go to the smartlevel.us, which is our website, and it's smartlevel.us, that .us throws some folks off instead of the .com. We have an FAQ page on there, and it's got all those videos are on there, and you can watch them at your own pace. And we also, at the bottom of the website, there's a YouTube link. And we've got a lot of videos scattered out across YouTube of mapping different properties and things.
And anyone at the end of this, if anyone's interested in this actual training presentation and you want this specific thing, I can send it to you. And it also has links. This might be a little easier depending on the person. And you can click all of these and it takes you to the same FAQ website and links and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. And if there's something that you don't understand that you can't find in there, let me know, because, you know, I mean, everything is a work in progress here. We've recently updated a lot of these and we're doing better, but that still doesn't mean we have everything in to answer everybody's question, which is what I'm shooting for. Okay. Now, so what we were doing before is what we call image mapping. And if you would, actually, Jennifer, go back to the app and show them the two buttons on this, because I want to make a clarification here. Okay, so you see the image mapping button that Jennifer's got the star over right there on the left-hand side. Everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, over to the right, it says 3D mapping. Now, we're going to change the nomenclature on this. It will say AR 3D mapping. Whenever I say AR mapping, that is what I mean by the 3D mapping. At one time, that's a little behind the times. I've got to update that button on the app.
This is the button functions for Smart Level. We're showing
clicked over one too far, Jennifer.
This is the Rev H version that came out about a year ago.
Terribly sorry.
That's okay. You just go back to the one you were, because I want to show you one other. I want to show you one other button on. Okay, now the 3D volume down below here, that is a button you can use, and you don't even have to have the level connected to that 3D volume. That does the same thing as like the Carter wheel. If you're going to measure the square footage, you don't even have to connect the level to it. If all you're worried about is the square footage, that 3D volume will give you your square footage. Does that make sense? That's not in Android, it's only in iOS. And it's a little confusing because the 3D mapping is what we're going to do now with the AR mapping. The 3D volume works on the same, but it just gives you the square footage. So what we're going into now is the 3D mapping.
Hey, are we going to come back? Are we going to come back to the 3D volume?
Well, the 3D volume, Bo, actually, it gives you what the 3D mapping does. It just doesn't drop the height readings in. So yeah.
Okay.
And also there's a video at the end in the FAQs that show that. So if you're just wanting to measure out how many square foot that you need and you don't need all your elevation measurements, that's what we're here now, is the area calculator. Jennifer's got that running right now.
Yeah. So let's just say I've laid out a pool deck and I'm trying to figure out how many square feet I've got.
Yes.
And then I can go around and I can hit all the points.
That's what, just like we're doing in the video right now. Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good deal.
Yeah, and that is the volume or the area calculator. That's the volume.
This is pretty handy for me right here.
Yeah, that's handy for a lot of people. It basically does what the Carter wheel does, and it's free. You don't even, anybody that has an iPhone can do this. Now, we don't have this in Android. We don't have the AR function in Android yet. Everything I've shown you so far, we've got in Android. But what we're getting into now, where the phone is actually looking at the ground, we don't have that in Android yet. It will eventually be there, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a really good, this video that we're showing you, and you can see on the right here, that's what it looks like when you finish. You don't have your height readings, but you have your square footage dropped into it.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, Jennifer. Yeah. Okay, so now, okay, so to make things, to muddy things up a little bit, so what we're doing with the area calculator, it just figures your area. It doesn't figure your height. The augmented reality or the 3D mapping figures both of those, where you can upload it into a design program. So, Bo, this is what you will need. This is what you'll use on your job tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, freeze that right there for just a second, Jennifer. All that's showing in the video is me pulling the tubing out and pulling it back so you don't drag the reel across the things. What you'll get initially with this, with the image mapping, one of the reasons I like image mapping is you get a photograph with all of your readings dropped right into that photograph right there on the job site. You can show that to your customer. You've got all of it. You've got a great deal of useful data right there on the job site. That's image mapping. With the augmented reality, the phone is actually going to be looking at the ground, and you're not going to have a photograph. You'll see on the left-hand side here where you've got just a white background with the dots dropped in. That's what you get with the augmented reality. If I want to, I can drop a photograph over the top of this and make it look like image mapping, but I have to do that with my computer. I won't have it on the job site.
Okay.
That kind of makes sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and if you want to, put the sound back with that too.
If we move the level, we'll have to come back to our benchmark and re-zero to make sure we've got the zero that we started with.
Now I flip the level over on its
Now,
side.
once we pull the tubing out, we've got all the tubing we need. We want to set the level down in a central location that's not going to have to be moved as we're mapping. If we move it, we want to come back and recheck our zero. The level's a little more accurate if it's laid down flat on its back like that. Now, typically, if I'm mapping, I use a monopod. We've got a little piece of Velcro sometimes. We'll put the Velcro down here that will hold it. And I've got a magnet on my phone, which makes it a one-hand operation. Now, this makes it a lot easier and handier to map everything. I don't have to bend over. On the monopod, if I zero it on the monopod, I'll make my benchmark on the concrete here. Your benchmark needs to be something that you can come back to, hopefully, a year later. If we decide to make a change out here in addition a year later, we can come back and zero on the same benchmark, and all of our readings will be identically aligned with what we did initially today.
Okay, freeze it right there a second,
Okay,
Jennifer.
starting our
That's
augmented
one of the
mapping.
significant advantages over using lasers. If you move that laser and come back, you've changed your benchmark or your reference point, and it's almost impossible to get the same reference that you started with on a laser. You just got to do the math and recalculate everything. Using the same benchmark, and I'll make a notation in my as I'm surveying. You can make notes with all the points. I make a note where and you can also see where you are in the app and what have you. But once you got that benchmark, if it's like this concrete deck that's not going anywhere, you can come back a decade later and all of your readings will be identically aligned with your initial set of data. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in mapping a very large area, I've got one customer that did this up in Michigan. He mapped about 4 acres. So what he did, he used the floor of the house as his benchmark. So when he was mapping the front of the yard, he just went in the front door and zeroed it right on the front, right on the floor by the front door. And then he went 200 foot out. He had 200 foot that he could map in the front yard. Then he went around to the backyard, came in and zeroed it on the floor, which put him on the same benchmark. So then he had 200 foot he could go on the backyard. So basically with the house in the middle, which was about 100 foot or so, he had about a 500 foot area that he could map. And all of his readings will be on the same datum. That's very difficult to do if you're using a laser to get all of your readings on the same benchmark. It's pretty simple to do with Smart Level. Now, what we're going to show you now, has anybody here used your iPhone like a tape measure where it measures the ground?
One time.
Okay. Billy, you ever use it like that?
I have in a bind where
Yeah.
I get on the people all the time for not having a tape measure on. But
yeah,
I catch myself every now and then. I leave it in the truck or whatever, and I have pulled it out, and surprisingly accurate. I couldn't believe it.
I had checked this. If you hold it the same distance off the ground and move at the same speed, I can get it within 1%. Which is if you're estimating a job and you get your estimate within 1%, you're doing pretty good in my opinion. Most of the people that's very acceptable. Okay, so what we're going to do now is you'll have to show the ground. You'll have to move the phone kind of back and forth so it can look at the ground. And what the phone is doing, it's looking at how far it is away from the ground, and it's figuring out your distances and everything. So it's got a good starting point. So if you want to, Jennifer, go ahead and show that now.
With a benchmark that's not going anywhere. Hopefully this concrete is going to be here for quite some time. I'm over on the edge. We're going to zero the level here for our starting point. After 5 seconds, you hear a little beep. You see the level go to 0. We're going to drop our first point in. Now, sometimes the level, you have to move your phone back and forth a little bit.
I'm letting the phone look at the ground and those little dots.
Location.
Oh, I'm trying to get it right on the dots.
There you go.
Okay, I've mapped my first location there. Now we're off and running.
Okay, pause that for just a second, Jennifer. Now the phone usually picks that up very quickly. In some trade shows where I'm inside under fluorescent lights and there's carpet and stuff, it takes the phone a little bit longer to pick it up. But under sunlight is the ideal lighting situation. And with the grass and concrete and things like that, you've got a good terrain that it usually picks it up very quickly. But you saw how it dropped that little red dot in. It has to look at the ground until you get enough info in the phone, and it will actually create that first little red dot to start. Then you're good to go. That kind of makes sense?
Is the phone doing that?
The phone is actually doing that. Go back, Jennifer, rewind it to that, and let's watch that one more time. And you can do that with your iPhones now. You could put your phone, you could hit that
Let it
area
really get
calculator button, and you can do
the
that
location.
on your floor right now and kind of
Okay,
see
I've
if
got
it's
my first
working like you.
location there. Now we're off and running. We're going to come over to our first cone.
Oh, you want me to go further back?
No, you're good. You're good. And see that little yellow line? That's the phone.
My
The phone is
crosshairs right
actually
in the
doing
cone.
that.
We're going to let it settle out just a little bit.
Then you'll drop your
Settle
pencil
out
and
here
your
at a little
ruler
over-
in. It'll drop that
little
point
under
right in the
3
middle.
inches. Now I'm walking to my second cone. As we're walking, you want to keep the phone the same distance from the ground and walk at approximately the same speed. You don't want to take the phone and move it where it's gathering, looking at different objects, because it's figuring its ground distance from the distance from the ground and the speed that you're walking. So you want to walk as straight as you can from point to point, following the same distance off the ground. And we're going to create an outline first, close that outline, then we're going to put our interior points in. That outline is going to help us line everything up later. I'll explain
Okay,
that
so
when we get
pause
to
it right there for a second, Jennifer. Okay, so you'll notice on the left-hand side here, we've got two maps that we've drawn. You see that red line that's going around the outside?
Mm-hmm.
That red line is our perimeter that we're creating first. So by creating that perimeter line, I can line this up. See where that line is straight?
Sorry,
That's okay.
shifts every time I let it sit like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, what it does, the PowerPoint is in slideshow mode, and it's sits there for a few seconds and it goes to the next slide. Okay,
Yeah.
so the top reading that you're seeing here is actually this property. So see at the bottom, the 3 dots across the bottom, that is where the house will line up. So if you create a perimeter, otherwise we just have a bunch of green dots on a white background. And that's going to be very confusing with lining that up with real life. So by creating that perimeter, we have put north, east, south, and west kind of into it. So we know that straight line is across the back of our house. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
That way, when you're mapping this, Bo, tomorrow, you'll create that, you'll walk your outside and you'll create that perimeter, and then you'll close the perimeter. And once you close the perimeter, then you put your interior points in, and that outside perimeter will line it up. If say I was doing a field and there was a road and a driveway, I'd have a long L shape along that road and driveway, and I would know that would be what would line the survey up with the real life property.
Let me ask you this. So when you're making this box and you're doing the outside, so every time I stop and I take a point, it's going to show me the distance between those two when I get back to my office. And then I want to draw a house up, and I'm trying to get the topo of the backyard, right?
Yes, exactly. That top left, everywhere I drop the reading is a green dot. Everywhere I hit the pencil and ruler, it puts a dot in.
Okay.
And so I walk the perimeter first, like I say, so you can line everything up. And then if I need to, I put points in the middle. And that gives me, that way when I upload it into my design program, what design program are you using, Bo?
Structure Studio.
Okay,
Structure Studio. The one it doesn't work on.
Oh, the one it doesn't work well on. You'll get the perimeter and the dots. You'll have to put the height readings in manually, but that's still going to be a lot easier than what you're doing now. And you know, I don't know if you ever want to get away from that or not, but Structure Studios is a very complicated program. You can make it look like a photograph, but Real-Time Landscape Architect is about a $600 program. It's easy to learn to use, and it's got a lot of the materials built into your material list. So once you create, say a patio or a deck or what have you, or a retaining wall, it will figure all of your material in, and it's really super easy. I've got one of our videos on our website, and if you want it later, just shoot me a little email or something. I'll send it to you. Stefan built a retaining wall and a little patio in literally 5 minutes. You can time it as he's building it, and when he finished, the program told him how many pavers he needed across the bottom. It told him how many blocks he needed for the retaining wall, and it told him how much of an end cap he needed. So it really makes takes the figuring, takes all the variation out of the figuring. It's a little more trouble to factor all those in with Structure Studio. You can do it, but it's more work. Whereas with RLA, it's built in to start with.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and go ahead and roll some more. Roll some more of that bean footage, Jennifer, if you ever watched that old
As you can
baked
from
bean
point to
commercial.
point, following the same distance off the ground. And we're going to create an outline first, close that outline, then we're going to put our interior points in. That outline is going to help us line everything up later. I'll explain that when we get to it. We're about 1.5 inches here.
I just turned on my 3D mapping and tried to do some stuff right here, just sitting in this chair.
Yeah.
And it said that it lost the connection with.
Oh, yeah, you're not connected to the level. So yeah, pause that for just a second. So you won't have what that means is you won't have the height readings, Martha, and you don't need it. You know, if you had it connected to the level via Bluetooth, it'd be dropping the height readings in. But that just means that the AR is working. You can draw those little, you can drop your points and create your perimeter and stuff. That'll work for you. But since you're not connected to the level, it's telling you you've lost connection with the level.
Why is it not connected to the level? My level's sitting right here. And it's
do you have
on.
do you have the Bluetooth turned on your level?
On the level. I don't know. I might have to check that.
Yeah,
You'll see
have
like
to,
the little Wi-Fi symbol on the level itself.
you'll hold the 0 button down, tap the power and release the 0, and that will turn your Wi-Fi on your level.
Okay. I'll play with that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to stop you.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you stopped me because if you had a question, probably other folks do too. So for connecting the level and to the level has to be connected, whether it's in image mapping or AR 3D mapping. And at the FAQ page, there is a button function, which will show you holding the 0, tap the power, release the 0, and that turns the Bluetooth on in the smart level itself.
Okay.
And then it should automatically connect to your iPhone. If it doesn't automatically connect, close your iPhone app off. Don't just swipe it to the background, close it completely out and restart it. And if you've given the app permission to use Bluetooth, it'll automatically connect.
Okay.
I'll
go back and watch that.
Thank you. If you have any glitches with that, Martha, there's a video that shows that. And it's in the button function. That button function, the entire video is like 2 minutes long. And about halfway through, it shows connecting the level to your app. Good question. I'm glad you brought that up.
For those that purchased the level within the last 8 months, closer to a year roughly, you should have like a little directions pamphlet that came with the level, and that also explains how to connect the Bluetooth, turn it on, do the range, the basic functions of it is included in that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Like I say, that button function in the FAQs has got all of your button functions as far as the range and some things that we're not going over tonight also.
Right, and that's in this PowerPoint as well. So if you request this, you'll get that there.
Yeah.
Point. We're about 63 inches, a little over 63 inches here.
Yeah, and if you want to, Jennifer, go ahead. I guess
going down to our
we
next
probably
point.
Everybody's kind of seeing what we're doing. We create that perimeter first, and then we put after we close the perimeter, we put our other points into it. Now, what you want to do is, go right to the corner of the house where you were, Jennifer. I want to show you how to close the perimeter. Right there. Okay. Hold it right there for just a second. Now, you remember me starting on the deck over there by the back door. You don't go all the way to your starting point to close the perimeter. You close the perimeter 1 point away from your starting point. So I'm at the corner of the house. Here is where I will close the perimeter. And in the app, go ahead and run that, and I'll show you where we're doing it.
We close it 1 point away from our starting point. We're about 4 inches or so over here. Then we close the perimeter out.
That bottom left button there is where you close the perimeter.
Just to where we started.
Now, sometimes,
now we're going back
again there,
up
Jennifer.
the hill and
you saw how that red dot had gotten really big. The iPhone tries to keep all of your height distances equal right now. As the iPhone advances, the AR function is a function of the iPhone. That will get a little bit bigger. If that red dot gets really big, don't pay any attention to it. It's still putting it where it needs to be. The phone is trying to keep it. We walked down the bank about 6 foot there. If you walk down 6 foot below where you started or your high point, that dot tries to stay at the 6 foot. So it's going to look like it's right there at your nose, but it's still putting everything in where it should put it in. Does that make sense to you, Bo? Because you might see that tomorrow. How much height difference do you have over the area you're mapping tomorrow, Bo?
I haven't been there yet, but it's a house that's on a river, so I'm figuring that I've got a pretty good terrain change out there.
You're going to have more than likely, you're going to have a significant, I have mapped terrain differentials of 12, 15, 20 foot. But now if you do that, that red dot may just disappear completely. It's still there and it's still working like it should be. And kind of walk around and don't try to map everything out first. Play with it a little bit on the property and make sure everything's working like you think it should be. And if it's not, I'll give you my cell phone number. I'm going to be driving tomorrow. I'm going to have a lot of windshield time. And just call me. And if you call me, I'll help you. I'll walk you through it if you need any help.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, if you got a pen, go ahead and just so I don't forget it, write my cell phone number down.
Hold on one second.
Actually, can you share that, Jennifer? There's a way you can actually make little notes on here.
I can put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
I don't know your phone number.
6. Isn't that bad? You know,
We just hit names in our phones now. We don't use our
I
brains
know.
to remember
I know.
numbers.
We're
I can't tell
spoiled.
you anybody's phone number anymore. I can tell you mine because I give it out all the time, but I can't tell you my son's. I can tell you Jennifer's because I forward my calls over to her. And they will be tomorrow also. Okay, it's 615-707-4476.
It's in the chat now as well.
Oh, okay. Is everybody seeing that? I'm not seeing that on my screen. Maybe I'm not looking at the right place.
Yeah, I don't even know how you get the chat on the screen.
Just
It
run your
should be at the
cursor
bottom.
at the bottom of the screen and you'll see some things that show up on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, bottom left. But if you want to, Bo, just write it down. I'll give it to you again. If you got a pen.
615-707-4475.
4476.
4476. Okay.
Yeah. Now you might actually, I am going to forward my phone to Jennifer. If that happens, Jennifer, just text me and I'll pick it back up and talk to Bo. And Jennifer can help you also. She may be able to walk you through if you have anything.
Kind of.
Okay. Now, once you close the perimeter, you can go in and put all of your interior points in, and you'll end up with what you're going to end up tomorrow with, Bo, is a white background with all of your points dropped into it. You'll send that data into Structure Studios, and like I say, you're not going to get your height readings. You'll have to drop your height readings in manually, but you will have them in the app so that you can see them easily. Now, at some point in time, we've got a lot of people using Structure Studios right now, and everybody is very unhappy with the fact that that is so proprietary. At some point in time, I'm hoping we find a workaround, or Structure Studios may just say, okay, we're going to let you guys upload your readings, or better yet, everybody that I talk to with Structure Studios wishes they had a competitor. Structure Studios right now is the best on the market for what they do, but they're very difficult to get along with because they are the best on the market, and they've got that market cornered right now.
Yeah, usually, they are difficult.
They are difficult. Everybody that I talk with says that. At some point in time, I expect some competitor to come up, and when they do, they'll probably change a lot of things like this, where you'll be able to upload that data very easily. I've got my fingers crossed. That's probably our fastest way of getting data into an advanced program like that. Everybody else accepts this. AutoCAD and everybody. It's Structure Studios is the only barrier that we're having trouble with on that.
Hey, one quick thing before we move on.
Yeah. Well,
so if I'm going to actually upload this image, and then I've got to scale that image, will I be able to scale? Will it show me the points on there? The measurement?
It should show you the points. It won't show you the height measurements. You'll have to put the height measurements in manually. Now,
it'll show me the distances though, correct?
The distances should come up. Now, I've got other people. We've got other people using Structure Studios right now, and we're actually working on putting a Facebook group together to connect you Structure Studios users together, so that you can, as you figure out easier ways of doing things, you can communicate with each other. So we'll put you in that. We'll put you in that list, and I'll kind of ping everybody that's using Structure Studios and say, okay, guys, we've got a new user in, and kind of introduce you and see. We haven't got a good SOP for Structure Studios yet, but we are working on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see. What am I missing, Jennifer? Anybody got any questions on anything we've gone over so far? Billy, did you get your level connected? Is it making sense to you?
I did. I was just trying to see if it was possible to run the AR with the image mapping at the same time, and it doesn't look like it.
No, it's really not. The image mapping, those two are separate now. Now, the level itself is an industrial computer. So I've got a lot of things on the drawing board that we're going to be changing and making improvements on in the future. And all you have to do to update yours is just like updating a laptop. You'll have to be connected to Wi-Fi through your app. It takes about 6 minutes to update it, and we need to update it about once a year. So the next update will probably be out in the late fall. And as we come out with new ways and the image mapping and AR mapping are going to be continually evolving. I've got a lot of things in the works right now. So if you see something and you think, I wonder why it doesn't do this, or I wish it would do this, feel free to let me know. It may be something that just specifically you would like, and I can't put a lot of engineering dollars in for one specific user. But if it is something that you like, and other people like it too or want it too, if the usage base justifies the engineering, we'll do it. There's been several things where I've had customers come back to me. One is engineering scale. You can, if some architectural drawings call for the readings to be in relation to sea level, and they're not in fractions of an inch, they're in hundredths of a foot. Now that is complicated to figure. But I had 3 engineers at one conference ask me about that, and it was very inexpensive. It took my app designer about 2 hours to build that in. One of the cheapest additions I've ever made. And that, if you need that function alone will sell the app. That's enough of because it takes all the math out. And actually, Jake, my Southeast rep, was on a job the other day, and he didn't realize that was built in. He shot this video for me. He learned how to do it on the job and shot this video on the job. And it works so well, I use it as a training video. But he had a crew there, and the crew's diagrams were in hundredths of a foot. Nobody there knew what the heck it was. So Jake called me and said, Mike, have you ever seen this? And I explained to him how to use it, how to set the datum and what have you. And in about 15 minutes, they actually designed that job in engineering scale. So I didn't realize that we would need that, but and you don't need it a lot. Typically in a year, I'll run through maybe a half dozen people that will have a set of prints that are in engineering scale. But where we are in Tennessee, the Corps of Engineers builds a lot of things, municipalities and what have you, and they do use engineering scale on those. So if you're putting in landscaping to the courthouse, your prints are probably going to be in engineering scale. Otherwise, you'll probably never need it. And like everything else on iPhone, if you don't need it, it's in the background. It won't get in the way. You'll never see it. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of special functions on here, like percent of slope. It'll figure percent of slope. You can use the grade function. We're about out of time tonight, so I'm not going to go through all those, but the FAQ button has got little short videos that explain them, and it does a pretty good job. And after you go through that FAQ button and it doesn't make sense to you, just shoot me an email or call me, and Jennifer or I will figure out whatever it takes to get you on board with that.
Mike,
You want this presentation emailed to you as well?
Yeah, we can. Martha, I'm sorry, we interrupted you.
I didn't mean to interrupt y'all. I'm interested in learning your story, and you don't have to do that now. Maybe you have that recorded somewhere, but Dan Preston did a video on his story. I want to know your background and how you got into this and how you came up with Smart Level.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you the elevator spiel right now. Was working for Lockheed, and I was designing a digital boat speedometer on the side. Since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with electronics. I should have gone into electrical engineering, but I didn't. Anyway, so I saw a crew leveling up a mobile home with a water level, which is a clear tube filled with RV antifreeze. And that used to be the industry standard for leveling manufactured housing, drop ceilings, and things like that before lasers 40 years ago, before a lot of you may have been born. That water will always come to the same height in the end of the tube. Well, I was building a digital boat speedometer, which worked off of pressure, very similar principle. So I thought, I can put this pressure gauge on one end of the tube, and I'll get a digital readout, so we won't have to actually use a tube and use a tape measure to check it. And in about an hour, I had it up and working with a voltmeter sitting on my desk in my kitchen in my house. And I thought, man, I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, it doesn't happen that quick. So through the years, I had a very basic version of that we manufactured for almost 20 years. It just gave you a digital readout, no Bluetooth or anything. And then as technology started evolving, I started thinking, I can tie this in with an app. You can see it on your phone. You can record your readings. Once I did that, it just opened kind of a Pandora's box. And people say, I wish it did this. I wish it did that. And I love to design. I should be a designer and just out in the field all the time. That's where I spend most of my time now. It aggravates Jennifer a lot. But so it kind of started as a small thing and has worked into a really cool business that I thoroughly enjoy. So that's the short version of it, Martha.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Brilliant. You got a brilliant mind.
You know, I'm not honestly, I'm not that much. I'm not really any smarter than anybody else, but I am very obsessive compulsive. Once I get something in my head, I lock onto it. And I was up at 3 o'clock this morning thinking about stuff with the business. I did not get nearly enough sleep last night. Once I get something into my head, I can't let go of it until I figure it out. So it's not really the fact that I'm any smarter than anybody else. I just stick with it until I figure the damn thing out.
Gotcha. Awesome.
I see Billy laughing. Billy knows what I'm talking about. I think I see a little similarity there.
And my son's giving me that eye too.
There's a lot of us out there, Billy. A lot of us, yeah. And some of us are fortunate enough to take that and run with it. And you know, I love. Very few people get to up in the morning loving the business that they're going to get into. I'm one of those fortunate people that actually get to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's about the time we had allotted for tonight, and I've gone through most everything I wanted to. Now the tubing is tough. If you want to, Jennifer, run that little video there. These are skid steers running over the tubing, and one of them's running over it in gravel. It's tough. I'm not saying you can't damage it, but this is on gravel. I could have made a bet on that and made a lot of money that day because there's about 20 people there, and everybody told me that it was going to cut it in two.
We have a video with a forklift doing it on a concrete floor.
On a concrete floor, also. Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying the same thing. He should have bet the guy $100 because he
the
swore
levels are tough.
I'm
not saying you can't damage the tubing, but obviously it's not fragile.
Right.
You got time for one dumb question?
Yeah, I've always got time, Bo, and there are no dumb questions. If you know, yeah, if you got a question, somebody else probably does too.
That thing that you're sticking on the back of your phone, is that something permanent? Where would I get that at?
No, actually, you can buy that. Do we have that link? Do you have that link up, Jennifer?
I got it. There's a link on here for Amazon, and there's one on here for Walmart. They roughly range $5 to $20 depending on the one that you want. But basically, it's just a car magnet mount. It's meant to put in your dash on your car, but we recommend is you can either put it directly on the level, that's your preference, or you can put it on the case of your phone. And if you don't want to have that on your phone when you're not at work, you could just have a cheap case you buy for $10 at Walmart and just put it on that case that you use when you're going to use the level, like this photo here.
So you stick it on there and it's permanently on there then, right?
It's got that sticky stuff, Bo. You can peel it off if you want to, but it comes off really hard.
Okay.
Now
I got you.
Yeah, what Stephen does, he just sticks it onto his level, and the magnet on the back. Then that magnet will hold it to your phone, so you can do it that way if you want.
Like that. The magnet will sit directly to the.
Yeah. And
I have a phone mount in my car by Steely, I think, and it's not $5. I promise you, it's about $50. But it works really nice. I really like it. It's a great mount in your car. So I already have the metal on the back of my phone, but I just got to get a piece to go on the unit.
Yeah, on the unit. And now one advantage to having the magnet on your phone, Jennifer, if you would pull that app in the excavator video up. So this is one thing. I don't know if any of you will use this in construction or not, but this little video actually, it's Jennifer put this up. It's got like 200,000 views. Oh, see the app in the excavator. He's seeing what the guy in the dig is seeing.
Yeah, that's really, really cool right there.
Yeah. That video that's the first video we've had that went viral on Instagram. It's got 211,000 views right now.
221. Thank you very much.
Jennifer did it. That's why she said it. Jennifer did that. Yeah. All right, guys, you got my contact info and the website smartlevel.us. That's got all of our contact info there, Jennifer and mine. If you need us, feel free to ping us. If I'm traveling, you may not be able to get me right off the bat, but you'll get somebody that we'll get back to you as quick as we can. And thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for allowing us to record this. A lot of good stuff tonight. These are getting smoother as we go, thanks to Miss Jennifer.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Real quick, the one thing Mike always forgets, and he probably shoots me for saying these at the end, but we do have a referral promotion that is going. So if you do recommend a smart level to someone and they contact us saying, hey, John Doe referred me, I really want to purchase a level right now, then you will get $100 Visa gift card or, you know, whatever card you
Yes.
want when we talk to you. Because I'll be the one who goes and gets it. So, yeah, that's just a little incentive extra to help us out, spread the word.
Yep, my customers have always been my best salespeople, and I intend to, you know, help you out for that. I appreciate it.
I've blown some people away pulling mine out of my vehicle and showing it to them. So I'm trying to push it big time.
Thank you. Well, just tell them to mention your
I
name,
don't even know how to
Martha.
use it well, and I'm still pushing it. I know it's got potential.
Thank you.
There
I
you go. Make
appreciate
some side money. Go,
Yeah.
you know, hustle some smart levels
Pay
out
for
there.
my unit. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thank
you,
y'all. Nice
Jennifer.
to
I
see
did forget that.
everybody.
Thanks,
All right.
guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate
Anything will help you, let us know.
Thanks. Safe
Yes, sir.
travel.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy.